I sold over 50 digital products in just a few days without a big following, no email list, no crazy funnel, just one product, one strategy, and just some simple steps. If you look at my screen right now, you can see here 65 sales from a digital product. And from the sales here, you can see all the transactions all the way down. So if you've been thinking that you need a big audience to start selling digital products and making hundreds or thousands of dollars or your local currency online, well, you're wrong, because I actually did this and I didn't go viral. I didn't have a fancy sales funnel. In fact, I didn't even sell on this particular YouTube channel. However, I used a simple step-by-step framework to be able to achieve this. And the best part is you can copy this actual framework and apply it to your own idea and be able to replicate the same results and even more. Now, when it comes to selling digital products, it is not just the creation and the selling that matters. It starts right from the beginning. Now, you need to understand that selling without an audience is actually possible if 1, you pick the right product, 2, you validate it first, 3, you create a simple sales process, 4, you understand how to use simple ads even on a small budget. And I'm going to be revealing the exact structure and framework right now. So now, this is a blank page and we're just going to put a text here. We're going to make this digital product. Now, when it comes to digital product, the first thing you need to take real good note on is the niche. So we're going to have that here. Under the niche, you want to ask yourself, what comes to me easily, either based on knowledge or experience that someone else is struggling? So we're just going to put that here. Once you're able to answer this particular question, you have actually found your niche. And the thing about this is it doesn't have to be the literally common things like cooking, dancing, singing, or stuff like that. It could be something really practical. For example, it could be having to balance work with personal business, and it could be under like the entrepreneurial niche. It could also be the mom niche, whether you are like a stay-at-home mom as well, working from home. So what you want to do is you want to look within and ask yourself, and you want to bring in your own perspective, your own experience, your own knowledge into that particular niche. And that is what makes your niche unique. So for me, it was actually growing on YouTube. It was coming as a small YouTuber who was growing her channel the right way. So now once you've asked yourself this question and you've found out what you want to do, the next thing you want to do is you want to then create a social media platform for that particular niche. And now I know you would say, okay, you said we're not going to be requiring any audience. So why are we creating a social media platform? Now, the social media platform actually is not to build an audience. It's actually to help validate your product. And we're going to be getting there shortly because by the time I was launching this product, I had just 20 followers on social media. So I wouldn't even categorize that as an audience. And this could be any social media platform you can leverage on. It could be Facebook, it could be X, it could be Threads, it could be Instagram, whichever it is. For me, I actually leveraged on X. However, I would advise that you should only focus on one, because doing too many things is going to be disruptive and you may not get the most results out of it. Once you've created a social media platform, the next thing I did was to start posting. Now, at that point, you may not exactly know what kind of digital product you want to sell, but you already have your niche. So at that point, I started posting my growth content, and it's usually more preferable when you post something that resonates with you or relates with you, because that way people are quicker to key into it. So what I did was I went to niche groups where people who resonate with my kind of content are mostly gathered. If you're leveraging on Facebook, you can focus on Facebook groups. If it's Thread, you can focus on, of course, Thread. You can also go with stuffs like Reddit or Quora. Those are also great places where you can find niche communities. Now, once I have done all these things, the next thing was to go to the next step. And the next step is the product research. Now, under this product research, let's also add another note here. Now, under your product research, this is where you want to start finding out or start figuring out what are my audience pain points. Now, believe me, the pain points can differ. It could be a variety of things because different people have different pain points. But what exactly you are looking for is the most dominant pain points. And that is the seed of any product that sells. Because you need to remember, that your digital product is close to a solution to a specific problem, and people buy it because they have a problem, and you have convinced them enough that this particular digital product will help solve their problem. Now, how do you want to know that? The next step is to start searching. So what I did was I searched social media platforms for questions people were actually asking. Go to those niche communities. You want to search Reddit. You want to see what questions they're asking in those communities. You want to search Quora. You want to search Facebook niche groups. You want to search on Threads, search on Twitter. So when you search those social media platforms, you then want to find the dominant one. That's the one that people are mostly screaming for help for. The next thing you then want to do under your product research is you want to know your target audience. Now, your target audience is actually different from the audience with which your niche resonates with. So for me, my target audience were very small YouTubers, most likely those who are under 1,000 subscribers, who have a channel, have an active channel they are posting, who are currently struggling with growth. Now, you can see how specific that target audience was. Once you've decided that, the next step is to do the testing. And I'm going to explain what this testing phase is all about. Remember, all these phases are important when you are trying to create your digital product. And these phases do not have to take a span of weeks or months. You can do all this in a matter of days, depending on how dedicated you actually are. Now, when it comes to this testing phase, this is where you want to start uploading content more in line with that particular pain point. So now you are trying to test the pain point. You're trying to test and validate it if it's actually true. And the thing is, when you start posting about that pain point, you start getting the attentions of your target audience. Now, what kind of content would you post with regards to that particular pain point? Now, what worked for me was tips, practical help, my successes, and progress. And the purpose of this is to excite the target audience and see their response. So I did this, and not before long, I started getting some comments. You see some people say, can I DM you? Can I message you? That is a sign that you are resonating with the right people. And the product testing is actually working. Now, another thing you want to do is you want to use a CTA, a call to action. For example, you could say, comment yes if you want me to do a step-by-step guide on how I achieved this. Or comment guide if you want me to do a step-by-step ebook guide or ebook checklist or whatever on how I did this and how you can do it too. It is at this phase you are then going to decide if a digital product should be created based on that particular pain point or not, because it is at this point you get to understand the response of people. If you upload content and you are not getting any form of response, you're not getting any form of feedback, it's simply an indication that people do not have such pain point as you deem them to have. And if you put in call to actions, it is at this point you decide whether you are going to create it or not. It is also at this point you are going to decide what kind of digital product you should create, whether it's best to attract your target audience with an ebook, whether you attract them with a checklist, whether it's a template, whether it's a video course or an online course, whatever. And this is also the time where you say, oh, it's not working. You go back and start from the product research phase until this testing phase is confirmed positive. Now, once this testing phase is confirmed positive, only then do you then move into the next phase, which is to create your digital product. So I'm just going to write it here. If the response is good, from the testing phase, then create a digital product. And remember, when you are creating a digital product, you do not have all the years to create it. So what you want to do is you want to set a time limit. And not just this time limit does it excite them even more, it also makes you work with time, because you have a short period. So you must create that digital product with time. In the course of creating that digital product, you want to ensure that your product gives value. So you want to put in effort in creating your digital product. At the end of this video, I'm going to be attaching a video where I showed you a very detailed step-by-step process on how to do product research and create your ebook step-by-step and doing it fast. Now, once you have created your book, the next phase is to launch it. So let's add a little sticker here as well. Again, you want to use CTA to determine how well they react to the product launch. This was how I did it. I put a CTA and I said, comment the word guide and I'm going to be in your DM and send the link to download the guide to you. And I shared, of course, the product with them. Remember that you should have set up your digital product, so you're not just going to be sending it to them in their DMs as a PDF. You should have set it up on a platform. For me, I utilized Seller. However, Seller is not available for all countries, just for some specific countries. But there are other platforms like Gumroad, Payhip, and the likes, right, that you can actually set up your digital product and be able to get a shareable link for people to click and download it. Now, this is super important because now you have a record of sales. Whether it was free or not, it's a record of sales and it adds to the portfolio of that digital product. So I'm just going to write it here, Gumroad. Seller is actually for African countries. Then once you have been able to set that up, you then want to collect feedback. So remember, you are not just giving them for free. Nothing goes for nothing. Remember, as you're giving them for free, encourage them to share their feedback with you, either in your DM or, of course, via the platform, if the platform has a spot for reviews. This is also for you to gather more reputation about the book. That way, you get to get the positive reviews that you can use to relaunch it when you are selling, and the negative or the criticism that can help you improve on the digital product, make it better before it goes into the market for sale. So I'm just going to add it here. By the way, if you are finding this helpful, because I'm giving a lot of value here, make sure to smash the like button and do not forget to also hit the subscribe button. Make sure to put on the notification bell icon so when next I drop a new and helpful video, just like I always do, you will be notified first. And this particular whiteboard chart that I'm creating, if you would like for me to bundle it and of course share it with you guys, comment the word charts in the comment section and I'm going to make this chart available for you so you can go through it and replicate this exact framework. So now once you have done the launching and you've gotten the feedbacks, you've collected them, the next thing you want to do is you want to then go ahead and then sell. Now, you need to understand that every phase of this is super important. The truth is that a lot of people ignore these first 3 phases, and what they do is they just go ahead and go create their digital product, launch it, and hoping people will buy it. Then if you're lucky, some persons buy it, and if you're not lucky, it just is there. You spend a lot of money on ads or you blast your product link, spam it everywhere, and nobody still buys. That is because you did not validate your product. You created a digital product based on what you think, and then you force people to buy it. It doesn't work that way. Now, in the sell phase, our work becomes easy because now we know that our digital product is actually wanted. All we need to do is then convince them that we have the product that they need. So for selling, what I did was I ran ads. I think meta ads are more like the very cheapest to run. So if you're a beginner, I would suggest and advise that you run meta ads. And depending on your budget, you can do a daily budget, whether it's $5, but the more reasonable daily budget you put in, the more reasonable returns that you get. Remember that at this time, you have repackaged digital products. So what you launched it out with could have been a skeletal copy to get the feedbacks, the reviews, and all of that. So at this point, you've repackaged the digital product because that's what I did. Then as well, you have also put a price tag on it. So what I did was when I was relaunching it out to actually sell it, I put it on a lower price. That is up to you though. The reason why I relaunched it at a very lower price was to get as much reviews on it as possible. It helps give the product a head start for the period when the price is actually increased to its actual value. Now, in my experience, simple ads actually perform way better than overly complicated ads. Again, in my experience, you want to set your ads up for traffic and not sales. Reason being that only a very, very, very small subset of people actually buy on first glance of an ad. Most people will not buy immediately they see an ad. So when you actually fix your ad for sales, you are losing on a very big chunk of people who could have bought by just a little reminder much later. So instead, you want to set it up for traffic so you can get them and be able to inform them later about what your product is about. Again, you want to get information of your lead where they are easier to sell to. So, for example, it could be their phone numbers if you're going to call them, it could be their emails if you're going to email them, or it could be like their WhatsApp contact if you are going to send them a message on WhatsApp, whatever it is. And then once you start making sales, you can now decide to gradually increase your budget. And that is what exactly I did, and it actually worked for me. So you do not need 10K followers, 100K followers, a million followers just to sell. What you need is one good product, good strategy, and the right people in front of it. Feel free to go over again and watch this video just to get more clarity. So now, like I said earlier, I created a detailed video on how you can do your product research and create an ebook from it fast, because the digital product I created was an ebook guide. And if you also want to replicate that, you want to create an ebook guide, then the video I would attach right now would really be of help to you. And you want to click on the video you see on your screen right now to check out the full tutorial and see how to do that step by step. Ciao.